Today we're going to be ranking the most mana-expensive cards in the game, 10 mana and higher. I'm going to start off with Stratodon. I don't even know what a Stratodon is, but it looks big and very Star Wars Empire looking. Okay, it's a 10 mana 5/5. Stratodon costs 1 less to play for each basic land type among lands you control, and it has trample. It's like well, I'm not going to say it's the Draco of the past because there's literally was a Draco of the past. Why is this an uncommon? This is a very, very strange uncommon. At best, you are paying 5 mana for a 5/5 with trample, which even by today's standards is a huge stinker. Stratodon, ladies and gentlemen. And its big tusks. I swear, it's what is it called? The Walkers? Some sort of Walker card? It's literally playable. So you know what? 5 mana for a 5/5, that might go somewhere in draft. That might actually be playable somewhere. Somehow. Okay, speaking of Draco, Lewis says, let's look at actual Draco. From the same set, by the way. Okay, the 16 mana 9/9 dragon, literally a metal dragon, costs 2 less to play for each basic land type among lands you control, which still means it's going to be like 6 mana if you get that discount. All right, you get that discount, you still paying up the nose. It's like, okay, here's a house for $1 million, and it's 5% off. That's just great. Flying. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice Draco unless you pay 10. This cost was reduced by 2 for each basic land type among lands you control. You pay it or you be screwed. Okay, Draco, honestly, not very interesting either. We got, what, a 6 mana 9/9 flyer, which is basically a pretty trash creature, all things considered, even by today's standards. Even by the past, I don't think anyone played Draco. I almost want to say it's worse than the Stratodon. 6 mana and 5 mana are like worlds apart. Yeah, screw it. I put you in D tier, Draco. Flying 9/9. I don't know if that's worth it even for 6 mana. Screw it. Okay, we'll just put them right next to each other. Basically about the same. Very, very, very similar. Bro, they died at Chandler. They both died at Chandler. Maybe we should put it in the D tier. Are room or split cards okay? CMC? So long as the CMC is 10, it counts. I don't know. To be honest, I know split cards can add up the CMC. I don't know about the room cards. If the room cards work, then yes. Okay, next up. Let's go look at Jasper Rav's Blightsteel Colossus. Third best card. What do you mean the third best card? Blightsteel. What's number 1 and number 2? 12 mana, 11/11 golem. Trample, infect, and indestructible. It's got it all. The Blightsteel Colossus would be put into a graveyard from anywhere. Reveal Blightsteel Colossus and shuffle it into its owner's library instead. What I find very cute about this card is if it would be put into a graveyard from anywhere. So it doesn't actually need to get there. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you can't even surgically extract this thing because it like doesn't hit the graveyard to trigger. It's like if it would go there, put it in the library instead, shuffle it up. So you can't even nail this with a lot of graveyard hate. I'm not sure if it also works with Rest in Peace as well. Like, does it dodge Rest in Peace? Maybe it doesn't dodge Rest in Peace because like if it would go to the graveyard, it wouldn't because Rest in Peace would have exiled it. It's a replacement effect. That's right. Replacement effect to protect itself from nasty a lot of graveyard hate anyhow. Okay, it's a one-shot kill you type of card. On the other hand, you can't remember, you can't reanimate this card, so you can't be like digging, rummaging through your graveyard to put it on, through your library, put it in the graveyard and reanimate it. That being said, it is still Blightsteel Colossus. Cube All-Star of all things. Kagan with our first super chat. Thanks so much, Kagan. The Woodcaller Automaton. It's calling the wood. Okay, this is a 10 mana 8/8. It's a construct. It only has prototypes, so you can cheat. You get a little bit of a discount for 4 mana, all right? You put a down payment, you get a 3/3. Unfortunately, you can't put any more money into this thing. When Woodcaller Automaton enters the battlefield, if you cast it, untap target land you control, it becomes a tree folk creature with haste and base power and toughness equal to Woodcaller Automaton's power and toughness. It's still a land. So, if you cast it, untap target land you control, it becomes a tree folk creature with haste and power and toughness equal to its power and toughness, which is a 3/3 if you spend 4, but it's an 8/8 if you go full retail, baby. I don't know how to evaluate this card. It seems like crap, but maybe it's playable. It's better than Draco, I think. I'll put in the B tier. This is like, it's not good, but it's not actively bad either. What do I get? A 4/4 and another creature? And we do get that creature for forever, right? Untap target land. It becomes a tree folk. It's got haste. Hopefully it has haste. It's still a land, but it doesn't say until end of turn. So it's basically 4 mana, 2 creatures. That's good value. That is a 2-for-1 sale, everyone. 2 for 1. Everyone, what do you guys like more? 2-for-1 sales or 50% off? I think you like 2-for-1s. We like always leaving a store with more than what we entered with. Okay, next up, we got Alex with Time Stretch for when Time Walk isn't enough. They're really stretching that Time Walk, right? What if we pull that Time Walk into 10 from 2 to 10 mana? Is it worth it? Sorcery. Target player takes 2 extra turns after this one. It's not even 2 Time Warps. So, if you look at Time Warp, it's double blue. They should have made it, they should have done with this card? Quadruple blue, 6 generic mana. Just make it a meme card, and then call it 2 Time Warps. We would love it. They could make secret layers of that for forever. It literally looks like an unset card, except it's completely legal. Target player takes 2 extra turns after this one. This card, I want to say this is jank crap too. Well, it's definitely not terrible. It's not terabad. I'm not going to complain about taking an extra turn. You get 2 turns, 2 attacks, 2 untapped steps, 2 card draws. It's got to be worth something, right? I'll put it in the A tier. I don't think it's strictly broken, but I think it's better than a lot of the junk that we're going to see in the B tier today. Taking an extra turn is nothing to sneeze at. I mean, it's not the card's not that far off from Nexus of Fate. That in theory could give you infinite turns, and this gives you 2 turns. Flash that back, and oh baby, you're in business. Next up, we'll have Epic Nate with my favorite card to copy for Zaphi, the Explosive Singularity. You talking about? Are you talking about, what is the singularity? I know it in the form of AI. Okay, we have a red a generic sorcery. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may tap any number of untapped creatures you control. The spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature tapped this way. Oh, it deals 10 damage to any target. That is explosive, isn't it? You may tap any number of untapped creatures. Why didn't they just give this Convoke? Why do we got this, this is like Convoke, except it's not Convoke. We tap any number of untapped creatures. So I guess it's Convoke that only affects the generic mana. But it's mostly generic mana. Mostly. Now here's the downside. Red decks that deal a lot of burn, they're not in the business of playing a lot of creatures, really. I mean, maybe you could put this in a Goblin deck for a joke. Maybe. Would a Goblin deck play this? Tap all their tokens and all their extra creatures. A Goblin deck can get all the red creatures, that's for sure. B tier. I don't think this is that good. But what am I going to say to 3x 3.3333 repeating lightning bolts? Cannot be unset cards. Pretty sure I know what that card is. I'm pretty sure. I might be wrong. Hexanort with Primal Surge. 10 mana for a sorcery. Exile the top card of your library. If it's a permanent card, you may put it onto the battlefield. If you do, repeat this process. That's not bad. And if your deck is... Wait a minute. There has been... People have made combo decks out of this card. Just have to make sure the entire deck are permanents. You can have double-sided spells. You could play with a bunch of those, modal face or double face card cards that have a creature or a... Yeah, just a creature on the front, a land on the back. And then you're in business. You just put your whole deck on the battlefield. Make sure you win at the end. I think still this is a bit janky. This is very hard to use, so I'm going to put in the C tier. A little awkward to use, in my opinion. Pabno with Go Dinos, Go Galta Primal Hunter. Or sorry, Hunger. I'm sure she hunts as well. First comes the hunger, then comes the hunting. This is a 12 mana 12/12. The spell costs X less to cast, where X is the total power of dinosaurs you control. Dinosaur kindred out there. Also has trample. X less to cast, where X is total power of... Sorry, no, it's not the dinosaurs you control, just of creatures you control. So you can have any creatures on the battlefield. In theory, you can play this for actually 2 mana. I've seen it before. It's been played against me in Pioneer in like mono green decks. Usually is a little bit win more, but it's still strong. It's still strong. You know what? I think this is A tier level quality. It's like you can play this card. You can play this proactively. You throw it into like a big chunky green deck. You have like 10 power on the battlefield. Boom! You got an extra 12 power. That's trampling for only 2 mana. That's mana efficiency around here. Nadim asks in the evening, Nikachu, is it winter in Canada? No, actually, it's not. Time for Canada Goose Park yet? Nope. Nothing. No snow. It's only raining right now. Enter the infinite. That's how I feel when the snow starts coming in Canada. That's how I feel. This is my face, and this is the snowstorm coming my way. Blue, 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 8 generic for a sorcery. Draw cards equal to the number of cards in your library. Then put a card from your hand on top of your library. You have no maximum hand size until your next turn. You are basically a god. Don't just have an idea. Have all of them. Yes, all in the palm. Have the the power of the sun in my hands. Doc Ock to himself. Where do we put this? I think we can put this in the S tier. I mean, this is a supreme combo card. There's nothing better than drawing. You like drawing cards? Well, how about drawing the entire deck? Does it get any better than that? I don't think so. There's a lot of combos that try to draw your entire deck. This card does it all in one shot. Okay, next up, let's take a look at, we have, Elixir. You be careful with the super chats. This is definitely a show where your super chats can get stubbed easily. The Capitoline Triad. The Capitoline. What the hell is this? This is a magic card. It's a 10 mana 7/7. It's a God Artificer. Those who came before. The spell costs 1 less to cast for each historic card in your graveyard. Artifacts, legendaries, and sagas are historic. Exile any number of historic cards from your graveyard with total mana value 30 or greater. You get an emblem with creatures you control have base power and toughness 9/9. Holy moly! That's the Lord of all Lords. This could be on a show that's like Magic the Gathering lords that are not actually lords. It's from Assassin's Creed, that's why. I barely got to see any of that set. That was the power level that we needed Magic cards to be at that time. The power level high enough that we don't see any of those cards at all. Is it danger? I don't know. I have to exile 30. I have to like basically self-mill myself. I gotta do 2 things. Self-mill myself, and then I guess cast this, because if I self-mill myself, this thing's gonna be cheaper. That's gonna be on sale. The card is not terrible, but I think it's just too hard to enable. I think it's a bit janky. I could be completely wrong. It might be. Do you know what I'm gonna give? If I'm giving Gull to A tier, I think I have to give this card A tier as well. It's like, it's a little bit of work to get it going, but it's like Delve, right? In that the spell costs 1 less to cast for each historic card in your graveyard. So if you have a bunch of legends, artifacts, and sagas, then you can you might even play this for nothing. That's a good price. 0 is great. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is S tier. Got some self-milling strategy. Okay, next up, we got Funtley with the Blink Moth Infusion. Okay, Blink Moth Infusion is a 14 mana, instant, affinity for artifacts. Untap all artifacts! Power begets power. I have no idea if this is good or not. I mean, if you have enough artifacts on the battlefield, it won't cost very much, but it doesn't do anything either. Like, let's say you need a combo going to by untapping all your artifacts. And what are you going to do? What happens after you tap them all again? This is a card that has to prove itself to me. And has proved absolutely nothing right now. C tier. Wonder how big the C tier is going to get. Maybe we got to squish some of these cards. Next up, we got Lord Trevor. Here's for a Grand Mocha. Thank you so much. My first boss monster was Hypnox. My first deck was a draw discard deck. Hypnox sounds like the name of a Pokemon. Oh, by the way, anyone can recommend me a good Pokemon game for the Switch that has the feel of red and blue? I would love to hear your suggestions. I'm in for a I want to play some Pokemon. I haven't played since Red and Blue, or Pokemon Snap, frankly. I want to get back into the game, but I want to play any of that with any weird variations. Hypnox. This is a 11 mana 8/8 Nightmare Horror with flying. When Hypnox comes into play, if you played it from your hand, remove all cards and target opponent's hand from the game. Well, I have some bad news for you. I don't think our opponent has any cards in hand at this point of the game. Like, nothing. When Hypnox leaves play, return the removed cards to their owner's hand. I don't think they're going to get anything either. You're basically spending 11 mana on an 8/8 flyer. Now, I mean, in Commander, there are situations where you go late and one person has accumulated 1 million cards in hand with, for example, with... Man, I'm bad with the cards these days. Like, I can't think of anything. Would you like to pay the one to... Ristic Study! There we go. So I've seen very, very often there's someone who has always a full grip with Ristic Study. So I guess you could nab them if possible. Then they'll be big sad. But other than that, I think completely unreliable jank. Completely unreliable jank. C tier. I will admit, you get an 8/8 flyer. That's not useless. It does something. Steve Cooper recommends Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee are remakes. I don't want remakes. I want a new one in the sort of... It could be 3D. I want the gameplay to be the same, though. I want to go to some gyms. I want to conquer some gym people. I'm going to beat them to a pulp. I want to become the Pokemon master again. Okay, let's take a look from Pedgeman. The Goat. Omniscience, also known as Omniscience. Pay for it once, and you'll never need to pay for anything again. Otherwise, no, we'll do that one. The Goat of all goats, that's right. It's got an enchantment color behind it. You may cast spells from your hand without paying their mana costs. That card is insane. A lot of combo decks featuring this card. Basically, they try to cheat this card into play. Now, to be honest, nobody casts this card. I don't know if anyone has ever cast an Omniscience versus me. Ever. It's always they got to cheat it in play. They got to cheat it in play. They got to swing it in from their hand, from the graveyard, from their library. This is not a card where people are actually spending 10 mana on. That being said, once they get in play, they will spend way more than 10 mana worth of cards from their hand. So the card is busted. Oh, it's got Jace there in the corner. Never even saw a Jace around there. S tier. Super powerful effect. The world's your oyster. Scarlet and Violet is our great Pokemon games. I'll look into it. Algot, thanks for the suggestion. Okay, Anna Felly is now. Here's some vastly overcosted crap for your deck. In name as one. We're not building a deck here. I'm not trying to build a deck. I'm just trying to, rank really expensive cards. Okay, we have a green, green, black, black, 8 generic, 8/8 spirit. When a name is 1 comes into play, if you played it from your hand, you may search your library for a spirit card and put that card into play. You got it's double the value. And then when a name is 1 is put into a graveyard from play, you may remove it from the game. And if you do, return target spirit card from your graveyard to play. This is actually decent value for this card. So you get an 8/8 creature. In addition, you get to tutor a spirit onto the battlefield. And also, if it dies, you get another spirit from your graveyard. I actually think it's decent. I think it's worth more than people think. I'm going to put it in the A tier. That's actually a lot of value for one card. Okay, next up, what do we got? John, the pride of the whole clade. Really? Pride of the whole. There's a lot of pride cards. The pride of the whole clade. Oh. Oh. It's a crocodile elk turtle for 11 mana. It's a 2/15. Spell costs X less to cast, where X is the total toughness of creatures you control. With bigger Gyat comes cheaper cost. All right, this is for a Gyat deck out there. For my, how do you do, fellow Zoomers? Okay, anyway, this Defender. Blue, blue, 2 generic. Until end of turn, target creature you control gets +1/+0 and gains whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player. Draw cards equal to its Gyat and can attack as though it didn't have Defender. Till end of turn. I have no idea how good this thing. It feels like it's one of those cards. Yeah, if you try hard enough, you're going to make it work. Is it going to work, like, in general? Well, not really. The biggest problem, I don't think is a problem casting this card, especially as the game goes on. But the problem is you got to, like, activate this thing over and over and over again. You do still need to connect with the opponent. You need to deal damage if you want to get that value. But if you don't connect, then you spent 4 mana for absolutely nothing. So I'm going to put the big Gyat crocodile into the B tier. For all those legendary croc decks. Yeah. Crocodile Kindred out there. Okay, next up. Let's get one. Hamad. Volcanic Salvo. B for the biggest butt. Okay, we have a 12 mana sorcery. It costs... Oh, I thought for a second this is the same one as the 10 damage spell. Okay, it's cost X less to cast, where X is the total power of creatures you control. Deal 6 damage to each of up to 2 target creatures and or planeswalkers. Now, this is a little bit more... I could see this going in a dragon deck, for example. See, them dragons... You only needed, like, what, 1 to 2 of them out to get, like, a significant discount on this card. Like, every dragon's, like, basically 5/5 or a 6/6, right? So, I think that could work. So, basically, it's like a 2 mana deal 6 damage to each of up to 2 target creatures and or planeswalkers. It's like a crappy Fury, really. It's a crappy but playable Fury. Volcanic Salvo. I'll put in the B tier. Yeah, I could do that. The B tier for you. B tier for bad, but not bad enough. Kagan, Eternal Dominion. This is only good as your opponent's deck. I suppose you can screw things up if they're trying to set something on top. Eternal Dominion. 10 mana for sorcery. Search target opponent's library for an artifact, creature, enchantment, or land card. Put that card into play under your control. Then that player shuffles their library. Well, usually your opponents don't have garbage cards, right? Usually they're gonna have something. Although I've played one-on-one Commander where I tried to bribery someone and they had nothing good to bribery. They made their deck bribery proof. Like no ETBs. There was no ETBs, no bombs, and like every creature I could possibly get had no synergy. But it's like a sort of strong card. It doesn't really win the game though. Target opponent's library for an artifact, creature, enchantment, or land card. I'm gonna say this is gonna be on the more of the jank side. Because you can't do anything for the rest of the game. So you now depend on your opponents for the rest of the game. And maybe that's good enough. But of course, yeah, like you said, if your opponents don't have crap in their deck, then you're crap out of luck. Benjamin Berkeley with Progenitus. Progenitus, easily one of the most overrated jank cards I've ever seen in my life. It's double Wooburg, so you need to stretch your mana base to the maximum, in my opinion, get to almost the minimum. Now, it's a 10/10 pro everything. If Progenitus would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, reveal Progenitus and shuffle it into its owner's library instead. It's like, I don't know, it's like an overcosted true name nemesis. It doesn't even have protection. It says protection from sweepers. That is a lie. It's not protection from counterspells. It does not have protection from sweepers. So Supreme Verdict kills it. What else does it like lose to? You can edict it away. It's completely false advertising. Progenitus probably never was any good ever. It's an embarrassment to the protection from everything. I'll put in the B tier. You like playing with Progenitus? That's great. I mean, you're just trying to relive the good old days. There was a time where, like, this was the big baddie. I think it was even before Emrakul was printed. No, what is the origin story of Progenitus? What's the first one? Oh, yeah, so, Conflux? Yeah, that checks out. So it got to feel like the biggest, baddest creature in the multiverse for, I don't know, a few years before Rise of Eldrazi came out. Basically got it. It was already upstaged in like 2 years. 2 or 3 years. Next up, we got Justin Wallen. You just shook the Progenitus community. I probably did. You know what? I'm sorry. I'm just spitting facts here. Justin Wally, Shadow of Mortality. Literally saw Modern play. Black 13 generic, so it's technically 15 mana for a 7/7, but if your life total is less than your starting life total, the spell costs X less to cast, where X is the difference. You see that, Commander players? They even made it for you. If it's less than your starting life total, you don't need to get yourself down to 13 life, down to 12 life to start casting your shadows around here. That being said, it's still just like, it's just a generic card. It's like, it's 2 mana for a 7/7. That's, sadly enough, that's just not very good in Magic anymore. It makes me wonder, like, how much can you push 2 mana vanilla creature? And I'm telling you, 2 mana 7/7 just doesn't do it. I can't remember the other reasons why this card doesn't see play anymore. Just being a Death Shadow player in general is a little bit rough. I'm going to put in the B tier. I just don't think... It's not useless. Like, you can definitely play this as a beater, but, like, it doesn't do anything, really. It doesn't actually do squat. Pabno, Thrasta, Tempest Roar. "12 mana 7/7 Dino, but costs 3 less to cast for each other spell you've cast this turn. So all you gotta do is storm off. It's got trample and haste. And also trample over planeswalkers. that very rarely matters. Thrasta Tempest Roar has hexproof as long as it entered the battlefield this turn. So the big deal is, it has seen a little bit of play. I think in the Neo brand deck as just like a win condition. I can't remember. Was it a win condition? I think it was a win condition because you play like so many spells in one. If you can play, this is better in one-on-one. I have no idea how useful this is in like Commander. I guess you could go like Mox, like Chrome Mox, Land. Maybe you have to wait till next turn. The double green is like, it actually really shakes you. Let's find your old video about how this was going to shake Modern. Yeah, I know. It aged very poorly. The video did actually quite well. It got like over 100,000 views. I convinced a lot of people. It had potential turn 2 kill. It did end up with turn 2 kills. Don't get me wrong here. But not in the way that we actually thought so. It's like only good as a weird combo enabler. And honestly, this is not the only combo kill card you need. So Thrasta is like really janky. I'll put in the A tier. I actually saw some tier combo play. As weird as that sounds. Maybe it still even has a chance somewhere deep in the future, but didn't end up working very well in the affinity decks. All right, we're going to take a look and rank more insanely expensive cards. But if you feel like buying any of them, because hey, some of them, jive your interest. Maybe you want to buy them from FusionGamingOnline.com. Magic the Gathering Foundations, hot singles in your area, hot and ready, or you can order them online. Yes, you can order these hot singles. Do not feel ashamed when you're buying them from FusionGamingOnline.com. So any of these expensive cards or any of the new cards out of Magic the Gathering Foundations, if you want to support the channel, you're going to want to buy from Fusion Gaming Online. And don't forget to use coupon code Nikachu at checkout to get 5% off all your purchases. We're also going to thank Mana Traders, the premier place to rent Magic cards online. Play any deck, any format you want. You know how we found out Thrasta sucked? People jammed it constantly in Affinity, in like Elf decks. It didn't work. But then people started playing it in Neo Brand and found out, you know what, it actually can work over there. It's not terrible. It's got some purpose. And that was only possible because you could rent infinite different variations of decks with Mana Traders. You can support the channel renting using my Mana Traders link in the description below, or save 40% cash back on your third month subscription using coupon code Nikachu_4VU. All right, Thrasta. Time to move on. Good God, we have got a lot of super chats here. Okay, Jin Gataxius, Core Augur, and Dono to chat. Thank you so much, Steve Cooper. Jin Gataxius. Which one? Core Augur. I have a memory of a fish. A fish, I tell you. 10 mana for a 5/4. Nah, it's got flash, so gonna surprise you. At the beginning of your end step, draw 7 cards. That's a lot of cards. Each opponent's maximum hand size is reduced by 7. So this is a one-sided... What is that card called? There's some demon. Each player discards their hand every turn, but in this case, only you discard your hand, more or less, and I get to keep my hand. What does it mean? Each opponent's... Okay, I guess if you have Reliquary Tower, it neuters this, because your hand size might be reduced by 7, but you have an infinite hand size. The card's cool. The card's very, very cool. It's a little janky to get out, but if you get it out, you know what? It's worth it. A tier. That is solid A tier stuff. Not this fuzzy A tier stuff that we have over here. This is solid. Super, super solid. Oh, great. This card makes me groan. I guess in a bad way now, doesn't it? Whoops, sorry. Oh boy. Lumbering Mega Sloth. I never heard of this one. It's a sloth, and it's big, therefore Mega Sloth. 12 mana, 8/8 Sloth Mutant. The spell costs 1 less to cast for each counter among players and permanents. It's got trample, and Lumbering Mega Sloth enters the battlefield tapped, so it costs 1 less to cast for each counter. That's interesting. You're up against a Proliferate deck. Oh, why, thank you very much. By the way, Proliferate by all means. Do yourself in. But it's still like an 8/8 Trampler. 2 mana for an 8/8 Trampler, and your opponents need to be on Proliferate. How often are you going to win in that situation? Probably not often, to be honest. B tier. I think B tier. Like, it's a 2 mana 8/8. I shouldn't, like, complain too much about this one. Coming in tapped is mana. Yeah, of course. But it's 2 mana! What do you want? What do you want for 2 mana? Ideally, it's 2 mana. I don't know exactly what it's going to be. Okay, next up, let's take a look at... Where was a cool one I saw? Toilet Dock, Rise of the Eldrazi. Rise of the Eldrazi, the set, the card. This is 12 mana, a sorcery. The spell can't be countered. No, God, please, no. And destroy target permanent. Target player draws 4 cards. Take an extra turn after this one. Exile Rise of the Eldrazi. This card is insane. I played against this card, and I felt like I was just wiped out in one shot. Yeah, it can't be countered. It blows up a permanent. The drawing 4 cards thing, I feel like it gets worse the more you read it. Spell can't be countered. Okay, that's annoying, but we can deal with it. Destroy target permanent. Why? Why have to do it? You draw 4 cards? You take an extra turn after this one! And then the best part is it gets exiled, but like the damage is done at that point. S tier. Very strong card. Huge payoff. I mean, if this resolves, probably the game just completely swings in your favor. This is all the original Titans ETBs. Oh, I didn't notice that. All the OG Titans together at once. Okay, next we got Nyx with Mnemonic Deluge. How many deluges are there? Mnemonic. There we go. 9 mana for someone that's getting their soul sucked out of them. Sorcery. Exile target instant or sorcery card from a graveyard. Copy that card 3 times. What is this? 3 times the Snapcaster Mage? You may cast the copies without paying their mana cost. I hope so! I already sunk 9 mana into this damn thing. And then we've got Exile Mnemonic Deluge. Is there some way to cheat with this thing over and over and over again? I don't know what to say about this card. Exile target instant or sorcery card from a graveyard. This card looks terrible, honestly. Copy that card 3 times. Am I just not thinking big enough? Oh, it's 9, not 10. Oh, disqualified. Do you know what? I was super chatted. It was a big super chat, so I'm still gonna count it. If you super chat, we'll let... Okay, if you super chat like $5 or more, I'll let you have 9 mana. Okay, I'm gonna... I don't think this card... Like, I think the best thing you can copy is like a take an extra turn card. Taking 3 turns, that would be just absolutely sick. But outside of that, I don't know. Maybe there's certain sweepers. I mean, maybe you can exile this thing, Rise of the Eldrazi. Okay, maybe there are some cards. How much for 8? $10. For every 1 mana you want to go down, you gotta pay $5 more. This is a pay-to-win show. It always has been. If you look into the history. Okay. I'm gonna put it A tier because I see the potential, but it's a bit jank. Okay, like the smallest counterspell, any graveyard hate just screws this card over completely. So I think there's a lot of ways of ruining it. So many no card yet people. Oh my goodness. Okay, we'll probably go through this show until there's like no cards yet. No card yet. What are we saying? No card. New Cork Yiddy? No, Polar Kraken from Gillum. The 11 mana 11/11. Trample. Polar Kraken comes into play tapped. Commutative upkeep. Sacrifice a land. Look at them Polar Kraken. We'll capture the polar bears up there. D tier. No discount. On top of that, I have to sack my lands, and it comes into play tapped? No way. Never. Peanut butter. Blood for the blood god. Oh, it is 10 mana. Okay, it's 11 mana. Instant. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature that died this turn. Holy moly. That could cost, like, basically 3 mana then. Discard your hand, then draw 8 cards. Blood for the Blood God deals 8 damage to each opponent. Exile Blood of the Blood God. This card is absolutely insane! You just basically need to board wipe and then have 3 extra mana up. This card is absolutely disgusting. S tier. That's a lot of value. Okay, next up, what do we have here? Trying to keep an eye on all of these. Okay, we got let's get one from Pacers Fan Forever. We haven't got one from Pacers in a little while. Kozilek, the Great Distortion. Greatly distorted, but not distracted. Kozilek. The 10 mana 12/12 Eldrazi. Now, when you cast the spell, if you have fewer than 7 cards in your hand, you draw cards equal to the difference. Menace! And also discard a card with mana value X. Counter target spell with mana value X. Did this see any play in Modern? I know they made a wicked Eldrazi commander deck out of this thing, which is like near damn impossible to kill. Because they can just counter... You always have cards in your hand. You can always just counter things. Kozilek is just the counterspell machine. This creature is secretly more blue than Urza, okay? More blue than Jace. More blue than Jace, Urza, and Ral Zarek combined. And Niv Mizzet. Anyway, this is definitely an S tier worthy card. Super S tier. Also, it's not, especially because it's colorless, it's like secretly not even 10 mana. I mean, it might as well be 4 mana to a colorless deck. Between like Cloud Post and Urza lands and other ramp and Eldrazi Temple, Ancient Tomb, and so on. Basically, it's free. Wasn't Eldrazi Winter a thing? There was, but Kozilek the Great Distortion wasn't there at that time. Skip Winter. Went out for, had a holiday. Went to Florida or something. Rest in Serpentine, Dark Steel Colossus or Autocron, where we definitely did a Dark Steel Colossus. Oh, did we? No, we didn't do Dark Steel. Dark Steel Colossi. Okay, we didn't do Dark Steel. This is the crappy Blightsteel Colossus. Another 11/11 with Trample. But this one has Indestructible. If Darksteel Colossus would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, reveal Darksteel Colossus and shuffle it into its owner's library instead. So basically, if you have a huge if you have a fetish with Indestructible, then maybe you'll go as far to try to cast this card. But it's not worth it. It's just a giant vanilla 11/11 for 11 mana. It's indestructible. You can get chump block for days. Oh no, sorry, you can't get chump block. It's got trample. I take it back. It goes to A tier. Forgot about the trample part. Trample's not bad. Trample indestructible. It's better than nothing. Okay, next up, let's take one from Crowcore Games. Emrakul: The World Anew. Highly underrated, you say? A whole new world. This is Emrakul on its magic carpet ride. This is a 12 mana 12/12 Eldrazi. When you cast this spell, gain control of all creatures target player controls. Flying protection from spells and from permanents that were cast this turn. From spells and from permanents that were cast this turn. So it doesn't have protection from permanents that were cast on prior turns. When Emrakul: The World Anew leaves the battlefield, sacrifice all creatures you control. That's the part that really sucks about this card. It sucks for the opponent, that is. Like, the thing swipes all your creatures. And then even if I destroy the damn thing, I don't get my creatures back. No, it's got Madness. You can also, if you discard it, you can pay 6 colorless mana. I think the card is even worth it at 12 mana, but the fact that you can pay 6 is actually criminally underrated. Which can be done by discarding it through discard outlets. S tier, very S tier level card. Basically, if this thing resolves, they win, you lose. I don't know who's coming back from this, unless you just don't play with creatures, period. Next up, let's get... Is Scion of Draco 10 mana, Ryan? Scion of Draco. I don't remember. Oh, it is. Okay, 12 mana for the 4/4 Domain. Cost 2 less to cast. Reach basic land type among lands you control. Which means it can cost 2 less to cast. Oh yeah, it can cost 2 mana. Man, the game has changed. Back in the day, Draco cost 6 mana. Unplayable. What make Wizards is like, what mana cost will people actually play this thing? 2 mana. All right. What is like 10 times 2? 10. Sorry, 5 times 2. 10. Okay, add 2 mana on top of that. Print it. Flying. Each creature you control has Vigilance if it's white, Hexproof if it's blue, Lifelink if it's black, First Strike if it's red, and Trample if it's green. It saw some niche play, but it only became like super powerful when Leyline of the Guild Pact came into play, which makes all cards on the battlefield all colors and all lands add all basic land types. So you can immediately play your like Scion of Draco no matter what on turn 2, and like all your creatures have all these stupid abilities attached to it. And Scion of Draco on top of that still has evasion, which is insane. Anyway, very S tier level card, very S tier. Boop. S tier. We actually have a pretty strong S tier here, and I'm actually also surprised there's not that much stuff in the D tier. Okay, next we have Ecos with the Great Henge. Technically expensive, or is it? That's really the question, isn't it? A lot of these cards are secretly actually cheap. You just need to know the 5-finger discount. It's a green 7 generic legendary artifact. X lasts to cast, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. Gotta have a creature in play. Then you can tap to add double green and also gain 2 life. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on it and draw a card. It's actually, it's funny, actually. I guess this card doesn't see a whole lot of play in competitive Magic. I guess it's like an absolute powerhouse or super popular amongst the Commander crowd. Look at this. This is insane. $54? How many times did they reprint this thing? Not that many times, I don't think. Like twice. Maybe thrice. This is wild. Okay, Commander players. I guess for you, I'm going to put this in S tier. I honestly don't think this is an S tier level card. I think it's an A tier level card. Don't get me wrong, I think the utility is great. I mean, but I think you should be dead by the time you get it going. Also 9 mana. Oh, also 9 mana as well. Oh, but there was super chatted. We got a super chat. Okay, any super chat is worth a 9 at 9 mana. Then you have to go $5 down for for each mana you want to reduce. Oh my god, the no cards yet around here. Let's get one from Damon. World Spine Worm. Triple green, a generic for a 15/15 worm with trample. When World Spine Worm dies, create 3 5/5 green worm creature tokens with trample. When World Spine Worm is put into a graveyard from anywhere, shuffle it into its owner's library. You get Amazon? Amazon is calling, but I'm not ready to leave this show yet. Okay, World Spine Worm. Saw a lot of play in Through the Breach decks, also Nourishing Shoal decks. Basically, a lot of combo decks that wanted to combine World Spine Worm with Nourishing Shoal. But it was like a pretty decent good threat by itself. I mean, it's a 15/15 Trampler. There's a lot of cards on here that wish they were a 15/15 Trampler. They're like 15/15, but they don't got the Trampler. They got the Trample, but not the 15/15. And on top of that, if the creature dies, then you get like 3 babies out of it. It's like when you break up worms in your backyard. You can pull it apart into 3, and then they start wiggling around. I don't know if I've killed it or not. Do they really become 3 separate entities? That's like really weird to me. But my childhood brain says I've ripped a worm in 3 pieces. Therefore, I've created 3 worms. Okay, I'm going to put in the A tier. It's not the most busted of busted cards, but it's still a very strong competitive card. One way or another. Next super chat from Pabno. About the power of bribery, I summon the Zakama. Primal Calamity. Zakama. There we go, 9 mana, but you super chatted $5. So we're gonna let that one. We're gonna let that slide. I like that. I should do this more often. For X amount of money, you can break the rule and put like other cards on the show. Okay, it's a 9/9 Elder Dinosaur. Vigilance, Reach, Trample. When Zakama Primal Calamity enters the battlefield, if you cast it, untap all lands you control. Oh my god! So it's free. So, you know, it's free. Like you basically have to prove that you can pay for it, and then it's all yours. 3 mana, Zakama deals 3 damage to target creature. 3 mana, destroy target artifact or enchantment. 3 mana, you gain 3 life. It's actually a pretty good Swiss Army knife. Still 9 mana. You still got also have to play 3 different colors in this deck, but it's still very strong. A tier. Someone played this against me. Yeah, pay $50 to get Super Chat Ancestral Recall. Sorry, Ancestral Recall for $50 or no, I like this one. Pay $50, ask for Ornithopter. Would that work? Let's do the math. 10, yeah, 10 times 5, that's $50. The math checks out. Okay, next let's take a look at one from. Hold on, let me take a look at these super chats. Make sure I'm not going to step on anybody's toes here. Bell with Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger. Ceaseless. Always hungry. Someone should have just given Ulamog a Snickers. 10 mana, 10/10. When you cast this spell, exile 2 target permanents. And also indestructible. When Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger attacks, defending player exiles the top 20 cards of their library. So like, the question becomes like, what's going to happen first? You die through damage, or you die from no cards left in your library? The thing that makes this card very dangerous is when you cast the spell exile 2 target permanents, you get that no matter what. So you try to counter this spell, it happens. You kill Ulamog when it enters the battlefield, you still exiled the 2 spells. It's a cast trigger, damn it. Cast triggers are strong. This was basically a very reliable win condition in any big mana deck for all formats, so this definitely deserves to be S tier. Super strong card. Crowcore Games with does Mirror Room count? It can't even be cast for 10 as far as I know. Its CMC when fully unlocked and in the library is 10 technically. Wacky room moment. I believe the rooms count. If it counts like a split card, then I would say it counts. Mirror, is it considered 10 mana? I don't know if it ever shows the CMC around here. Okay, Mirror Room. The 3 mana side is when you unlock this door, create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, except it's a reflection in addition to its other creature types. Is this a Winter Fox card? Did Winter Fox start like making cards for Wizards R&D? Okay, next up we have Fractured Realm. It's 7 mana. If a triggered ability of a permanent you control triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. Did Winter Fox make this card? I feel like this is a Winter Fox card, except it's not colorless and it doesn't have a bunch of. And also, it's not like 20 mana. It's a copy, target creature. I don't know how to rate this card. Triggered ability permanent you control triggers an additional time. When you unlock this door, create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, except it's a reflection. You only get it once. So it's basically 3 mana to clone. It's a 3 mana clone, effectively. And then at 7 mana, you can like start doubling your triggers. I think that's very underwhelming, to be honest. I'm gonna put in the B tier. It's not terrible. I mean, basically, it's like a 3 mana clone with upside, right? Sort of mediocre. How do you get 2 comments in? I got like an anti-spam filter on Almond. Okay, Almond, Sway of the Stars. Blue 8 generic. Each player shuffles their hand, graveyard, and permanents they own into their library, then draws 7 cards. Each player's life total becomes 7. I think this card sucks. It's like a really bad Time Twister. It's a really bad Time Twister. I don't know, maybe bad Time Twister is better than no Time Twister at all. I think it's a C tier level card. I could be wrong. Maybe it's a B tier level card. This is very expensive for Time Twister, right? It's very expensive. It's banned in Commander, which means nothing. It's a $2.57 card otherwise. And it's only in there so that you don't reset the... Isn't that a good thing that each player's life total becomes 7? Shuffles their hand, graveyard. Oh, it's permanents. They really are resetting the game. It's not like Wildfire, but it's pretty close, I think. It's got similarities. We've got... Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. This is weird. Okay, we have Kev. I just found that one. Aladdin's Lamp. And then Pabno tried to donate for Kev for some reason. The lamp! Where's Mothman when you need him? I don't know how to spell Aladdin. Okay, well, we're going to donate that one later, Pabno. You know how we do it. Okay, 10 mana artifact, pay X tap. Instead of drawing a card from the top of your library, you draw X cards, but choose only one to put into your hand. Shuffle the leftover cards and put them at the bottom of your library. X cannot be 0. This card is an embarrassment to cantrips around the world and card filtering. No, do you know what? We can get the whole thing We can get the whole thing. You know why? Because it's going straight to Polar Kraken, baby! Polar Kraken! Whoa! D tier. Very, very awkward, crappy card. At this point of the game, I hope to not... You know what's funny? With 10 mana, we don't even get anything. We still have to sink an additional X mana to start looking through our deck to go get stuff, which is crazy. It's got to be a real card. That's a fake card. We need real stuff around here. Less than with Storm Herd. It is a white 8 generic sorcery. Create X 1/1 white Pegasus creature tokens with flying, where X is your life total. Interesting. So with greater life total comes more creatures. You get all the creatures. B tier. It's not terrible. Doesn't excite me, however. Not super exciting. Okay, Nola with Emrakul, the Ion's Torrent. You so desperately need to get that on the show. It's funny, actually. No one actually said this one. I don't know what to say about this. I guess, like, what's my commentary? See, it sees play every single format, banned in Commander for being a pain in the ass. Also banned in Oathbreaker. The meanest, baddest creature in the multiverse. Only seconded it to, like, Atraxa now. Actually, I think Atraxa now has been completely, has replaced Emrakul as the biggest, baddest creature to cheat into play. That being said, Emrakul still needs respect. She was the OG of the most broken of broken creatures in Magic the Gathering. One of the first creatures you never want to cast, but always want to cheat into play. Emrakul. We salute you, Emrakul. Okay, Christopher B. What's a show without Christopher B? Crows and Cloud Scraper? You scrape clouds? Is that like window washing? It's a 10 mana 13 Beast Mutant. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice Crows and Cloud Scraper unless you pay double green. This card's terrible. This card is so bad, Steve Cooper. We didn't even scrape any cloud. Oh, you can morph it. Oh, you have the morph ability, but it's still not worth it. What's with this upkeep cost? D tier. The lamp. Scrape the lamp. Been here all day. Apex Devastator. Isn't that 8 mana? Apex Devastator. Or is that 10 mana? Oh, it is 10 mana. Cascade, 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 Cascade. For a 10/10. If you somehow survive that, I don't know what. Put that. Also, what's great is if you put that in a Cascade deck. A tier. I think it's a good payoff. Doesn't necessarily win the game, but you gotta pull that slot machine. You hope everything's gonna turn out right. Isn't that lamp magnificently placed? Great for a thumbnail later. Well, I don't want to put any spoilers, Or I don't know, maybe I'll have a wide Aladdin's lamp in my thumbnail. Okay, next up we have good God, a lot of super chats here. Who hasn't got a super chat yet so far? I gotta parse out the super chat. Decree of Annihilation. For when you can't even. This is a 10 mana sorcery. Remove all artifacts, creatures, lands, graveyard, and hands from the game. Also, you can cycle it for 5 mana. But when you cycle the Decree of Annihilation, which can be at instant speed, you destroy all the lands. It's a pretty strong effect. Don't get me wrong. I think it's worth it. I think it's a very A tier worthy. Very, very strong card. Yeah, when you can't even, when your chips are down, when you have nothing to lose. Remember, you got to make sure someone always has something to lose, especially the red player, because they can wildfire you, they can jockle hops you, or they could Decree of Annihilation. Always give the red player a reason, make them feel like they have something to lose. Donation for toads? Oh, hold on, you want to get through that? There is a donation for toads here. Okay, Croker Games is donating to toads. What's up? We would get to it eventually. And then what's your card, toads? The Terraset. The Tarask. The Tarask. I don't even know how to pronounce this thing. It's 9 mana. Oh, well, you got a... But you were super chatted. All right. Someone super chatted your illegal card onto the show. Okay, it's a 10/10 dinosaur. It has haste, and Ward 10 is... Well, what is the point of Ward 10? You know, it might as well be a Ward 1,000,000. It's the same thing. Beyond, like, Ward 4, like, no one's going to pay it anymore. When the Tarask attacks, it fights target creature defending player controls. You want to fight? It's a decent creature, to be honest. But you can't cheat it in play in any way. There's no discount on this card. Okay, I'm going to put in the B tier. It said it haste, right? Has haste and Ward 10 as long as it was cast. When it attacks, maybe it's worth a... Because it has haste. So it's basically, it's a removal spell. You can attack with it immediately. All right, now it is... Tarask used to be my Tybalt's Trickery target in Standard. Oh my goodness. I forgot about that card. Okay, it's time for just Super Chats. We've hit the hour mark. It's super pay to win now. Kagan, Hierophant Bio Titan. This is a 12 mana 12/12. It's a Tyrannid. It's got Frenzied Metabolism as an additional cost to cast this spell. You may remove any number of +1/+1 counters from among creatures you control. The spell costs 2 less to cast for each creature removed this way. Oh, so if you have like a Hardened Scale deck, this card could cost almost nothing. Vigilance, Reach, and Ward 2. It's got Titanic. I can't help. I'm sorry. It's got Titanic, the ability. Titanic, the movie. The Magic the Gathering card, the ability. Hierophant Biotitan can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. So you're telling me it's sort of unblockable in a way? It's okay. It's so nice. It's pretty good. I could put that in the A tier. Run out of space here on the A tier. There's a lot of like pretty good cards. It's insane. Tarask didn't cost more as a D&D player. Oh, should it be like 20 mana or something? Yeah, no chumpy block. No chumpsies blocksies around here. No chumpsies blocksies at all. We did Progenitus. I put it, where did I put it? I put it low. I put it in the B tier. Ugh, it's too high to be honest. Next up, Pace of Fan Forever. Ulamog the Defiler. Oh, quite the rebel, isn't he? Should have just called Ulamog the Big D around these parts. 10 mana, 7/7 Eldrazi. If you cast it, target opponent exiles half their library rounded up. I usually don't care about those effects. You know, no matter how big my library is, it usually doesn't matter. Ward, sacrifice 2 permanents. Ulamog the Defiler enters the battlefield with a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the number to the greatest mana value among cards in exile. Ulamog has Annihilator X, where X is the number of +1/+1 counters on it. Very, very strong card. Actually sees some modern play too. It's the selling point really is the Annihilator. The Annihilator X, where X is the number of +1/+1 counters on it. Sorry, no, enters the battlefield with a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to number of the greatest mana value cards in exile. Hope that came across properly. And then that translates into an Annihilator. So we'll put that in the A tier. What am I going to do? A tier of full. A tier is looking a little full around here. Hold on. We got to squish this. I got to squish this card. We got to put it between Jin-Gitaxias and this other card. We need to make room. I didn't think we'd have this many cards on the show. I didn't think that was going to happen. Charlie Peterson, breach the multiverse. Breach a contract, breach the multiverse. Do it! Oh, this is too low. For every mana value down, that was like a $2 super chat. This is only 7. This is only 7. So if you want to put a 7 mana card on the show, we gotta have. Well, let's see. Hold on. What's the math? It's $5, or is it $2 to go to 9 mana? It's $5 everywhere else. So you want 7 mana? That's 3 times 5. That's $15. I'm donating that super chat. We can't have it. The 7 mana is too low. It's way too low. There are only that many Aladdin lamps printed. Yeah, there's not that many Aladdin. Well, I don't know how many Aladdin lamps are printed. He do be mogging. I did read your super. I did. It's illegal. I know I can't read. Oh, hold on. Oh, did you have another one? Hopefully the second one works. Okay, hold on. I'm donating this first one. Who else has a card here? Does Army of the Damned's flashback count? No. Aladdin's Ring isn't 10 CMC. Oh, Aladdin's Ring. Aladdin's Ring it's 8, right? Or is it 9? No, it's still too short. Well, I can donate the super chat to a 9 mana card. Do we have a 9 mana card? Autochrome Worm is a super chat coming up. Where's some no card yets at the top? Evan, Ulamog's dead. Ulamog's dead sire, whatever the hell that means. Ulamog's dead. Oh, Dread. Sorry. Ulamog's Dread sire. 10 for a 10/10 with Vigilance. Ward, sack a permanent with mana value 1 or greater. Tap, create a 10/10 colorless Eldrazi creature token. Honestly, I think this is a bit dirtily. It's sort of cool, but it's just mostly like a big vanilla creature that makes more big vanilla creatures. We'll put this in the B tier. It's not useless. I could play in a jank deck. Get my jank on. Okay, we got Gyafufu with the Autochron Worm. What super chat sound effect I give you? Autochathon Worm. This is a lot of mana. It's 15 mana for a 9/14. It's got Convoke though. It's got Trample. This is the ultimate token payoff, I guess. True North A says, I love Aladdin's lamp. Huge. We did it. Okay, Autochron Worm. I don't know what to say about this card. It's like sort of playable in a token deck, but if you're not playing with tokens, this is just some weird trampling card, you know? This is like the payoff card in some sort of 1997 deck. Just some big, stupid trampling creature. Honestly, I think this is a C tier. You can cheat this card out, but I think it's just very, very, very underwhelming for what it does. Yeah, 15 mana, and I only got like a 9/14 trampler. That might as well be a vanilla creature by today's standards. You know what I mean? Okay, next up, we've got... Okay, let's give Charlie another chance. We're gonna give Charlie another chance around here. Desolation Twin. Okay, that one counts. That's a good one. 10 mana for a 10/10. When you cast this spell, create a 10/10 colorless Eldrazi token. It's basically the same as that other one. Where we're like, instead of making tokens, we just get one token, and we get it immediately. We don't even get the trample. I'll put in the C tier. Slightly worse than that last one. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you got 20 power for 10 mana. It's not terrible, but there's still like just vanilla creatures. Chump block them for days. Do whatever you want. Next up. Just trying to run through these. Okay, Nola Brattig with... so I put 2 in my 5 dono, but Mycosynth Golem. Synth Golem? Oh my goodness. Is it an affinity card? Yeah, it is. The 11/4/5 affinity for artifacts. Artifact creature spells you play have affinity for artifacts. For some reason, I feel like you're only going to be playing with affinity cards in a deck like this. You're not going to somehow try to get Mikosan Golem out first and then try to get your affinity creature out next. Holy moly, this is $25. You affinity players are crazy. I guess it could be an enabler for future. I don't like this card. If you have your whole hand on the battlefield, just try to win some other way. I'm putting in the C tier. I don't care. If you can get this thing out with affinity, you're winning. You don't need to get out other stuff. Can help cast your Blightsteel. Oh, is that what it's for? It's the Blightsteel enabler. It's the card that helps you. And your Sign of Dracos. And your regular Dracos. Affinity players are actual dorks. Fight me. Yeah, and they play the Mikosan Golem. That's what they do. Okay, next up. Let's get one from Bryce. The Primeval Spawn. Primeval. It's evil spawn stuff. This is Wooburg and 5 generic. For a 10/10 avatar, if it would enter the battlefield and it wasn't cast, or no mana was spent to cast it, exile it instead. No cheating with this card, all right? You cheat with this card, you're going straight to jail. It is illegal to be cheating with this. Vigilance, Trample, and Lifelink. When Primeval Spawn leaves the battlefield, exile the top 10 cards of your library. You may cast any number of spells with total mana value 10 or less from among them without paying their mana cost. So the value isn't this card being on the battlefield. The value is this card's funeral. You have this giant insurance policy on this Primeval Spawn, and you're hoping to cash in on it. It seems like too much work. So you need Wooburg, you need to cast it, you can't cheat it, and then it needs to die. C tier. Like, it's okay if you get it in play. It's fine, I suppose. Next up, let's get another one from Gyafufu, the Cauldron of Eternity. This is 12 mana for a legendary artifact. The spell costs 2 less to cast for each creature card in your graveyard. Whenever a creature you control dies, put it on the bottom of its owner's library. 3 mana, tap, pay 2 life, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate this ability only anytime you could cast a sorcery. Now, the fact that it costs 2 less for each creature card in your graveyard, it's pretty good. I mean, over the course of any game, I don't know a game where I don't have 5 creatures in my graveyard. So it's effectively a 2 mana card. And whenever a creature control dies, you get to, you can't regenerate. Oh, so that's like a downside. If a creature dies, you have to put it on the bottom of its owner's library instead. But it's easy enough, I think, to reanimate your creatures. I think it's a decent card. It's decent. I'm gonna get a piece of this cauldron. This cauldron not gonna fit. Oh, it is gonna fit in the B tier. More or less. Next up, let's take it from the top. Pace of Fan Forever. The Flayer of Loyalties. Another Eldrazi. I mean, this is like basically an honorable Eldrazi show. It's a 10 mana for a 10/10 Eldrazi. When you cast this spell, gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature. Until end of turn, it has base power and toughness 10/10 and gains Trample, Annihilator 2, and Haste. It also has Annihilator 2, and it has Trample. So when you cast the spell, you get to swipe a creature, and it basically has the effect of this thing. Because basically it's a 10/10. I'll show you the ways of the Eldrazi. And it works like this. You have to give the creature back until end of turn. Untap, gain control. No, yeah, you just swipe the creature for a second. You're just borrowing them. Can I borrow your... I need a dance partner. Can I take your spells for a second? Okay, we'll put this... I think it's B tier worthy. It's almost like pseudo removal. I mean, if you attack with this thing, they're going to lose 2 permanents one way or another. Sorry, everyone who doesn't have a card yet. The show's too long. I have to. It's just like super chat only now, unless someone donates or screws up. Donate to Nate. Oh yeah, we did that one. We did Aladdin's lamp. So we're gonna donate this one to. How do you have no card yet? You've been donating for cards, and also, it's a big. Yeah, I think this is a situation. Maybe you don't know what the NCY stands for, but everyone's doing it. It stands for no card yet. I guess you have no free card yet. I'm gonna give one to, I guess, Pyro Tempest Wing, Myojin of Seeing Winds. Myojin of Seeing Winds. This is 10 mana for a 3/3. When it comes into play with a divinity counter on it if you cast it from your hand. So no cheating, and then it's divine. It's indestructible as long as it has that divinity counter. Oh, that's great. A 3/3 indestructible creature. What are we gonna do with that? Remove a divinity counter from Myojin of Seeing Wind. Draw a card for each permanent you control. Okay, that's great. That I could get behind. So it's basically 10 mana, probably draw 10 or something. Basically. For that, I can put in the B tier. It's a decent card. What the hell is going on here? Mono X Edish says Ornithopter for $50. Well, you got it. I think it's got to be worth some donations. Okay, we're going to get through all the super chats and we'll do some freebies afterwards. What can I say? Ornithopter is the most broken card of all time. That doesn't get banned. They ban all the cards around Ornithopter. You know, Ornithopter is that girl in front of the burning house with the smirk on her face. You know, because she's the one who's the real problem. They blame the electrical. They blame the kids across the street. They blame the hooligans in their neighborhood. It was Ornithopter's fault the entire time. All right, Ornithopter. This is definitely S tier. This is going to look very strange. But yeah, with that money to good use, I will. I'm just going to spend it on feeding my cat Chubby Meatball. Okay, next up, we got Belle with Octavia, Living Thesis. We're literally running out of space on my my tier list sheet. This is 10 mana for an 8/8 elemental octopus. The spell costs 8 less to cast if you have 8 or more instant and or sorcery cards in your graveyard. Also has ward 8. Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery, target creature has base power and toughness 8/8 until end of turn. Damn, I thought it was going to make 8/8s. So basically, so it costs 8 less to cast if you have 8 or more instant or sorcery cards in your graveyard. That's not too hard to enable. And then as you cast spells, here's the thing. You're a blue deck. This card looks good, but the problem is you have to cast instants. If you need enough instants and sorceries in your deck, then you don't have enough creatures. And if you have enough creatures, then you don't have enough instants and sorceries. Getting that balance is super, super hard. So this card is probably pretty jank for an octopus. I'm gonna put in the C tier. It's one of those tough cards that's really hard to build around. I guess unless you have a blue tokens deck of some. I mean, do you know what? Blue tokens might be it. If that exists. I don't even know if that exists. I don't know what token cards there are in blue. Crowcore Games. Islarf has a good card. I'll donate to them. You know, it would help me if you give me the card in the same super chat. All right, Islarf, what do you got? If you got anything. Islarf! Like, Islarf might not even be here anymore. Crowcore Games, you explain yourself. What was Islarf's card? Is Islarf even here? Islarf be like, I have no chance in this pay-to-win crap. I'm out of here. Everything comes to dust. Everything comes to dust. All right. It's an 8. Sorry, no, it's 10 mana. 10 mana sorcery with Convoke. Exile all creatures except those that share a creature type with a creature that convoked this spell. All artifacts and enchantments. Ah, that's interesting. That's actually pretty good. That is actually quite amazing. So it's a one-sided board wipe. Because, like, you're going to use creatures to cast this card for sure. They're invincible. And then all creatures that shared creature types with those creatures basically get to stay. So it's amazing. I know you're not muted. I see you completely. But you have to get super chatted to get onto the you have to get super chatted to get on the show. I think this is a very strong sweeper. I put in the A tier. Very strong. Save some room for later. Yafufu! With Velgavoth, the Terror Eater. Probably eating away. Okay, this is 9 mana for a 9/9 Elder Demon. Flying lifelength. Ward, sack 3 non-land permanents. Oh yeah, this is now a win condition in some Transmogrify decks in Pioneer. If a card you didn't control would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. And during your turn, you may play cards exiled with Velgavoth. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its mana value rather than paying its mana cost. Pretty decent win condition. It's still difficult to cast, though, so you're more likely to want to be cheating this into play. That being said, it's in black. You do have access to things like Cabal Coffers and other, like, mana sources to ritual this thing into play. And it's a huge beating to even use the ward on it. Sacrifice 3 non-land permanents, basically asking you to sack your board. Could be S tier. I'm going to put it in A tier. Could be S tier, though. I'm going to give it some more time to prove itself. Pabna also donating to Little Dead Fly. Okay, Little Dead Fly, what was your card? If Little Dead Fly is still here. Pabno donated my suggestion. The Reaper King. I didn't even know. Is this even 10 mana? I guess so, yeah. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Okay, it's could be 10 generic. Could also be Wooburg. For a 6/6, other Scarecrow creatures you control get +1/+1. Whenever another Scarecrow comes into play under your control, destroy target permanent. Isn't this card like crap outside of like being, I don't know, a Changeling powerhouse? Like you put this in a Changeling deck, right? Like that's the whole idea of this card. Outside of that, like I don't know if there's enough Scarecrows to make this like useful. If you only pay generic, it's 10. That's right. No, it counts. I'm not disputing that. It's written right on. It's got a mana value of 10. Truth be told. Okay, it's okay. It's okay. I might be disrespecting the Scarecrow crew out there, but I'm going to put in the B tier. I think this is still a little bit jank. Like, if you have to play with Changelings to make this good, I have a feeling your deck is in a lot of trouble. Okay, Nola, early dono to Pedgeman. I won't be here tomorrow. Oh, you mean for tomorrow? Okay, we're gonna keep that in mind. Pedgeman, remember that. I'll even donate the thing right now. Okay, Pedgeman, you remember. Nola donated for you tomorrow. Custom card show. Okay, well, in that case, actually, I should just move on to the next one. This is too long! That's what she said. She did. Okay, that's a donation. Did you really get no card? Broodstar? We got 10 mana for a Star with affinity for artifacts. Flying. Broodstar's power and toughness are each equal to the number of artifacts you control. Broodstar's power and toughness are each equal to the number of artifacts you control. Oh yeah, this thing. It's terrible. You have affinity for some gigantic creature, essentially. Sorry, it's like 2 mana for like a gigantic creature, right? It's like, yeah, you can get it out for 2 mana, but that's it. Oh, it does have flying, I suppose. Charlie Peterson, Nikachu's choice. I don't have a choice around here. I don't even know what's left. If I had a choice, what would be left? I have no damn clue at this point. Okay, I'm gonna give it to someone here. Rough 1x1. Emrakul, the Promised End. Emrakul, the Promised End. What's funny is this card so often gets cast against me, and it's not even the end. It's not. Like, okay, so it's 13 mana, 13, 13. Costs 1 less to cast for each card type and among cards in your graveyard. So it can cost like a lot less. It can cost like 7. Whenever you cast Emrakul, you gain control of target opponent during that player's next turn, and after this turn, that player takes an extra turn. Flying Trample protection from instants. Like, I'm a Merfolk deck. Sometimes they're like, they take my turn. I have Island Walk, and there's just nothing they can do. Whether they attack or don't attack, or play my creatures, like, there's just no way they can screw up my board. Okay, everyone, get ready for... If you have no card yet, you let me know. Because we are going... Anyway, this card is still super powerful. It's definitely S tier worthy. Let's jam as many cards as we can get before the end of show music. Okay, we have... who has no card at all? Nightmare. Funeral Room. Awakening Hall. Funeral Room. Awakening Hall. Okay. We're speedrunning this. Oh, the card's broken! Is this the broken one? Oh, sorry. This is not the broken one. Okay. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Whenever you unlock this door, return all creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Actually, quite good. I like especially that the second side. A tier. Very strong room. I think both sides are pretty good. Next up. Who has absolutely no card at all yet? You got one already. I just did yours. Kano! Temporal Trespass. Temporal Tress. Oh yeah, this card's insane. You can literally 3 mana. Take an extra turn after this one. Exile Temporal Trespass. It's got Delve. That's what actually makes it really good. It's like a one of in Pioneer decks, and by decks I mean Phoenix decks. Big Mike with the Axelrod Gunnarsson. Might need a new tier just for him. All right, let's Axelrod. You mean like? Oh, you mean at the bottom? Red, black, 4 generic. For a 5/5 with trample, whenever a creature dealt damage by Axelrod Gunnarsson this turn is put into a graveyard, you gain 1 life, and Axelrod deals 1 damage to target player. That's so much value, though. It's basically like if you die, if the creature dies, you gain life, and your opponent loses life. It's like a mini trample. D tier. Thanks so much, Big Mike. But you promised. I did promise. I mean, Broodstar was great, and then they printed Darksteel. Then it wasn't so exciting anymore. Tiny little kobold with Curse of the Citadel. Curse of the Citadel. We need to speedrun. It's not a card. Curse of the Curse the Citadel. Something Citadel. I've never heard of Curse of anything. Card doesn't exist. Sorry about that. Did I read it right? Curse of the Cabal? Maybe it was Curse of the Cabal. Curse of the Cabal. Oh, it is. Okay, this is it. Sorcery. Target player sacrifices half the permanents they control rounded down. They also have suspend for 2 turns at 4 mana. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, if Curse of the Citadel is suspended, that player may sacrifice a permanent. And if they do, put 2 charm counters on the Curse of the Citadel. This card is awful. I mean, I'm not gonna be happy to see it come off, but it's not good. You know what? I'm gonna put it lower. I'm gonna put it in D tier. At this point, like at the moment, like once you cast this at 10 mana, I'm pretty sure they can sack half their permanents and be totally fine. All right, that's it. That's our tier list for today. It looks beautiful. If you disagree with the tier list, if you do anything different, you let me know in the comments section below. Also, don't forget to give me Pokemon suggestions, Pokemon video games. I need those video games. Thanks so much for the super chat, Minoxidus. And because of that huge super chat, We gave a lot of extra no card yets at the end of the show. As usual, my coffee crew. We do this weekdays, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Be there or be square. Thanks to everyone who supports the channel. If you're a patron on Patreon, if you're a member on YouTube, or you super chat to be part of the show, or even super chat so other people are part of the show. And thank you again to everyone who's here in the evening, lunch, evening, morning, wherever you are. People like Eric and Crowcore Games, Pedgeman, Benjamin Berkeley, Little Deadfly, Telethor, Christopher B, Bell, Kano, Pabno, Benovsky, David John, Eric. I think I got you, Pedgeman. Crowcore Games, Jess, Monoxidish, and more. These guys are the crew. So as usual, my coffee crew, keep brewing up them coffees, and we'll keep brewing up the magic. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you at the next cup.